Resume recording. Okay, what I wanted to explain first of all was rather than just talking about me, I know that whenever you come onto these things and there's like half an hour of talking about the presenter and then you actually get the information, I want to give you as much information as I can. I know I said that we'd be here for an hour and a half, but I always just do that as an extra so that you've got time to maybe think about this stuff that I say after. And it's good to watch this recording because the information I'll be giving to you is so jam-packed. And one of the things I want us to realize we come with so much knowledge. I know that all of you watching this have so much knowledge, and that sometimes really gets in the way. And one of the questions, just to literally be a stopgap for you right now, is who were you, or so who are you without referring to the past? You see, that's one of the questions that literally stops us in our tracks, because for the first time, you just sort of go, what do you mean, who am I without referring to my past? And you know the way sometimes we talk about the veil that people have over their eyes, before they're doing anything. And that's the actual veil, the veil of yesterday, the veil of our childhood, the veil of a trauma. And then we literally bring it forward into our daily work and we take it with us. So that's why whenever you've got a team of sales reps or, you're actually doing the selling yourself, is to actually be careful as to what is it that you're actually bringing with you into anything that you do. We're making assumptions before we even get there. And there's even a law of assumption. I know some people say, you make an assumption, you make an ass of you and me, but actually an assumption can work in your favor. You can assume that somebody's just going to buy. Imagine if you dared to have that assumption that somebody was actually just going to do that. But sometimes we begin thinking we have to persuade people. But that's only because we're taking yesterday into today and into tomorrow. So there's 4 things that I realized about learning, and I'm going to give you some of my experience. So just to let you know that, anything that I've ever learned, I've gone out and then proved it. I'm not just passing on some information here. I'm literally passing on stuff that I have proven myself and I have seen proven with other people as well. So the 4 main areas of learning to realize, first of all, is number 1, who are you listening to? Like, where are you getting your information from? Whenever we're doing any personal development of any kind, who are you listening to? And I want to let you know that the information that I'm sharing now is information that has come as far back as Andrew Carnegie times. It has been passed through things like, those special groups, Illuminati, et cetera, as the basic information. And one of the things that I absolutely learned was that if we don't get the basic information right, and that's our mindset. If we don't get that right, then we're building on a false foundation. And so that's one of the things, first of all, is who are you listening to? There's thousands of books out there on how to do this, and this, but have they actually proven it themselves? Did you realize that even the most successful people, so say, whoever you think is successful and they've apparently written a book. I mean, they didn't actually write the book. They have a ghostwriter to write it, and they've probably never even read their own work. So where are you getting your information from? It's really, really key. And I just want to literally reiterate this again, that this knowledge goes back as far as Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world, and how to be successful in monetary terms, which obviously if you're a world-class salesperson, you want to be bringing in, it's going to have a money attached to it as well. So the next thing to think about is, the teachability score. So I was the one who literally fell for this every single time. I thought there's a teachability index. You've got the willingness to learn, 0 to 10, and the willingness for change, 0 to 10. Now, our egos get in the way so many times because we've been taught we need to know stuff, we need to know stuff, we need to know stuff. And so many times we're so packed up with knowledge that when we are like that, we're completely not teachable and we're completely not willing to learn. As soon as we say the words, I know, our teachability goes down to 0. And here's the thing, I actually have experience of that because I really thought I was teachable. I really thought I was willing to change. But actually what I found out is that I was 0 in both, because if I'm 0 in willingness to learn, then I'm 0 in change. And that was only because I thought I knew it all. And that was my downfall. And that can be the downfall with, quite a lot of people as well. So the next thing to look at whenever you're training people or training yourself is that we have the training scale index, the training scale balance, should I say. And the first one is that you think that, excuse me, just letting somebody else into the room here. is that you think that that it's 50% thinking and 50% how to. But what do we tend to do? We tend to do 90% how to and 10% thinking, 10% mindset. When actually, what I have realized is that if we got our thinking right, and if we really understood everything about who you are, because remember, it's not who you think you are that holds you back, it's who you think you're not. And it's 99% mindset, 99% thought. Wow. If you could change everything around, and we still have to do training on products, etc., but the how to is really the least important thing. But we spend so much time on strategies, processes, everything else around that, making sure salespeople fill in their KPIs, etc., whenever that is not what's driving results. But yet I know that the shareholders need that information. You know, my last corporate role was with #1 pharmaceutical company. So I know all about KPIs and making sure that, you know, you hit target, etc. The shareholders want their information. But there has to be another focus as well about making their life easier to actually reduce that amount of time so that they can be more creative in their sales. And I'll speak about that, you know, about that in a minute. So the other thing would be like the 4 stages of learning that we have. And, you know, I think you've all heard of these before, but I didn't realize the absolute impact of this. So remember, if you say, I know, it means you've just stopped your learning and stopped your ability to change. And I'm hoping that you're on here for that ability to change. A lot of the times it's hearing what we've heard before, but we're in a different place today. You think it's the same information, but you're in a different place. All your cells have changed. You have 50,000 new cells being created every single second. So you are a different person if you heard this information before. So first of all, we start with unconscious incompetence. So whenever people come to work for you, you go to work for, you know, for somebody that you don't know what you don't know. And you're probably rubbish at it. Like we all started when we drove a car. And the next stage then is the conscious incompetence. Now, what can happen there is that you know what you now know what you don't know, but you feel like an idiot. And so many people stay there, but they will pretend that they're somewhere else. They will pretend that they're actually okay, because we've forced people into that, where people are scared to fail. That comes from school. Did you realize that, you know, schools are a corporate training ground? Right from primary school. You're being trained to be in the corporate world, and we're also scared of failing. And so we must make it okay to fail. It's okay to be wrong, because that's the only way that we learn. But the next stage is the conscious competence, when we start to get good. But what we fail to do there is to stay there long enough so that it becomes unconscious competence. And that's the stages of learning that everybody's going through in your company, or you yourself have gone through. But so many times we can literally think that we're failing, and we drop up and down between conscious incompetence and conscious competence. And what do we focus on as leaders? Do we focus on their incompetence? Because if we do that, then what we do is we literally highlight that, and it grows. There's so many studies to show that if you tell somebody and you build them from their strengths, and I have actual proof of that for myself, which I'll come into in a second, that if you build people up from their strengths, not from their weaknesses, that you actually, their weaknesses start to rise at the same time. I can tell you categorically that it was about 10 years into this corporate company that I had a manager who did nothing but work on my incompetence. And then I had a manager who turned around, and I was never on the leadership board. Then I had a manager who worked on my competence, and I shot to the leaderboard. And I literally carried on, because that's what they were working on. Was for the first time in my whole life, somebody actually told me that it was okay to be me, and that I was actually really good at what I was doing. And he didn't focus once on my weaknesses. That's a huge turnaround for somebody who's in sales, and for anybody in your life, to be honest. I mean, 2 of the lessons that I always work on is, you know, lesson 10 and 11 from my program is the most valuable person, and leaving people with the impression of increase. And if we can't do that as leaders, then don't open our mouths. I mean, that's one thing that I've absolutely learned, to keep my mouth quiet until I can do that. So if you do have a team, then, you know, those 2 lessons alone, please write that down. You know, lesson 10 and 11 of the program is most valuable person and leave an impression of increase. That will absolutely turn everything around for you and your customers and yourself, to be honest. Do it to yourself as well. So what we're going to talk about today are 3 things that are going to absolutely turn things around. So it is goals, and you may think, well, I know how to set goals, but this is the art of goal achieving and what is going wrong whenever we're setting those goals and how we're going through our day in those goals. The next one will be, what is stopping us from achieving them? Why can't I, why isn't it happening? Or maybe I'm just creating a 1%, 2% increase, or maybe I'm doing a 10% increase. 10% increase is not growth because you did that last year. Inflation's gone up. I don't know what it is. And I mean, unless you've paid everybody's salary and you've had a 10% increase yourself, you haven't grown. In fact, everybody seems to be going backwards because everything is costing so much money. So 10% growth that you did last year, it isn't growth. What I'm talking about here is 50%, 100%, 500% growth. And I actually have evidence in my life and in my client's life to actually corroborate everything that I'm saying. Plus, this information doesn't come from me. It comes from a guy called Andrew Carnegie. And I'll tell you that story a little bit in a minute. So one of the first things, and this is the hidden mechanism. So, the way with most of the things that you come on to on webinars, they save the best till last. I'm going to honor your time. And I want you to know that you can book a call with me after this if you want to ask me any questions about yourself or your team, and that I'm going to give you the full answer right here, right now, at the beginning. And so then you can choose to stay for the rest. The rest of it is important because if we don't get the rest of it, it underpins what I'm going to talk about. So what is it that stops people from getting world-class sales results? And the answer is your self-image. Seems a silly one, doesn't it? Seems very, very silly. And it's just like, oh, that's just the imposter syndrome. It's nothing like that at all. Let me tell you, I want to really, really get into this information. So what we see is that we pull people into companies and then we train them to be, because of who they are, then we train them to be something else. We have a whole list of criteria, which we want them to, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do the other. And so in the end of the day, they don't even know themselves. I had a manager sit with me for a whole hour, telling me how to talk whenever I went into a call whenever I was younger. I got into that call, I didn't even know my name, never mind what I was selling. I'd forgotten who I was and what I was doing. And when he left me to me, I was able to sell. But I was trained to be something else, which completely got in the way. So that's one of the things. And, I'm not the me I think I am. I'm not the me you think I am. I'm not the me I think you think I am. So we don't even know who we are, because I might be someone for you, but then I'll be someone for somebody else. And so that's the thing that we've really got to realize here, is that who are you? It's not about the goals. They're so easy to set. They're harder to achieve. Why? Because we don't know where we're coming from. We don't know who we are. And that is the confidence thing. And people say, fake it till you make it. No, 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 no. Your words are not being listened to by people. It is the vibration that you are coming from that is being picked up and then decoded, and then they pick up on your words. So they're the things that we really must get before we go into a call or before we have a conversation with anybody, is where am I vibrationally? So one of the things is just, I'd mentioned to you before about, who are you, without referring to your past. And that's one of the things, is just, that's a stopgap right there to just go, my goodness, what am I bringing into a call today? What am I bringing with me? Am I bringing a previous client who said no? Am I bringing a previous client who said, this will never work? What am I bringing in? Or am I coming in completely clear and completely not knowing? You see, the evidence is that we live in a world that is 0.001% physical. And we spent most of our time literally just looking at that, when actually it is 99.999% not physical. That's what we're looking at. And you know what it's like when you walk into a room. You may walk into a room and you'll pick up on the energy. It's either a good energy or it's not a good energy. And so they're one of the things that, we have to pay attention to first and foremost. And where we're feeling that and is a heart-centered approach. Now, this is not, emotional or anything like that. But the science behind all this is that your head is not as magnetic as your heart. When you're true and when you're authentic and you're coming from integrity of yourself and you're completely aligned, you are 5,000 times more magnetic than your mind. And yet, what do we do with salespeople? We literally focus on the mind. We give them knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge. And why aren't they achieving the results? Because that's exactly what happened with me. And I couldn't understand and they couldn't understand. My goodness, Sheena, you're like top class and everything, but why aren't you on the leadership board? It's because I was just so full of knowledge, but I didn't have the self-image to actually back that up. I never once felt like a winner. Never once. And I didn't even feel like a salesperson. So that's kind of funny considering I was in a sales role. So let me just explain that about, how you can work without being in the wrong way or in a way that's not serving you. So say I gave you a Hoover and I said to you, can you Hoover this floor? So you Hoover and Hoover and Hoover and you go, Sheena, I'm working really hard. I'm Hoovering. And but it seems to be getting stuck. It's getting stuck in different places. It's not picking it up and it comes back around again. And then I stand at the other side and I'm holding the plug and I go, you're not plugged in. Never mind, you're not plugged in. You're not switched on. Do you get it? I hope you do. Because if you're not plugged in and switched on, in other words, that you're complete alignment, then you're just moving rubbish around. You're working in the world sense. You're working in just moving around like a Rubik's Cube. Nothing's going anywhere. You're just moving a load of things around. Now, if you want to have world-class sales results, you've got to be doing something different. And it's not with the mind, let me tell you. It is absolutely not with the mind. There is no amount of knowledge that you can have yourself. Now, in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill said in chapter on the mastermind, he said there's 3 types of knowledge. One is knowledge, your knowledge. One is experience. And another one is infinite intelligence. Just like I was talking about there, the 99.999%, yeah? That is the infinite intelligence. That is where we come from. That is life itself. So by the end of the chapter, he actually says, do not rely on your own knowledge. Do not rely on your own experience. What have you got left? But we're also afraid of not knowing. And I know as a sales rep, I had to make sure that I was getting 100%. Otherwise, I'd have been out of a job. We were also scared of not having the knowledge of our customers. And everything was knowledge. But I wasn't connected to the results in any shape or form. I was not connected to the company's results. I did not see how they affected me in any shape or form. I mean, not unless they were having a 50% increase and they were going to give me a 50% increase on my salary, then yes, I would probably pay more of attention. But I wasn't getting the benefits that the company was. Whenever I finished at number 1, and it was like 50 million of sales that was created, and my bonus was 100,000. I mean, it was good, but I would have liked the 50 million. And so what I've done myself is I am now a co-founder and director of a hotel company that is due to be launched either at the end of this year or early next year. And of a 60 million company, I decided, sod you, I'm going to go and I'm going to make my own money. How do I do that myself? How do I create that for me? And so that's what I did. So do you see the difference in, the self-image that I have now, but the self-image of somebody who was monitored and coached from their incompetencies rather than being monitored and coached and praised for what they were really, really good at? You see, what happened to me there was actually that, I had done strengths. You may have heard of Strengths Finder. And that's one of the things that I use as well. But that is the best, the most technically advanced, the most evidence-based personality profile that you can have. And here's the thing, it doesn't label you and it doesn't tell you how bad you are. It literally focuses on your strengths and how unique you are to a series of 240 and 40 zeros after that anybody in the world could be like you. That is a test that is like your thumbprint and is a paradigm shifter just like that. And that's what helped launch me to number 1. So one of the other things that that I noticed about self-image and about how we talk the talk, but not not necessarily walk the walk, was whenever I went out to prove what I'd learned. So I did master in NLP, master in business, master in coaching, and you know, I became a Gallup certified strengths consultant. I had to go out and I had to prove, okay, so I've taught this, I need to see the results. So I'd already had the results with that main company, but I went out to 3 other companies and I did contracts for them over a 3-month period. Each one of those positions had been low and had never been number one. By the time I finished with each company, those positions were number one. So I proved the point of this material, proved the point of mindset before. I absolutely annoyed the pants off for the managers. I wasn't very easily managed because I had gone there to prove a point, and they wanted me to do admin. They wanted me to sell their way. And so thank goodness I was only there 3 months, and I came to be number one. Here you are, here's your position, number one. Let me hand it right back to you. But what I noticed in one of the meetings was that the sales manager stood up and he was talking about being challenging. And he would say to people, you know, like, I want you to be challenging. We've got to be more challenging. And then they start to talk about having, you know, 1 or 2 customers, 1 or 2 clients, and asking for, you know, a client for 1 or 2 patients. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but is that being challenging? And he goes, well, we don't want to push it. And I go, but that's exactly what we need to do the illogical. We need to wake people up. They're half asleep. You know, they're eating food whenever the reps go in. And they're so used to all these reps coming in, saying what they're saying, and then leaving again. And I give him an example of, I stood in front of 20 senior consultant surgeons. And this was a drug that didn't have a lot of good energy or good evidence. And I asked them, I literally said, I want you to put I want to put all of your patients on this drug. Well, they stopped right there. And they started having they started objection after objection after objection. And I went, great. This is the best conversation I've had today. Tell me why and who you would put them on. Who would you put on this drug? So out of 20 people, I picked up on 5 people who were worth their weight in gold. Plus, I picked up patients that I would never even have asked for had I have gone with the previous strategy. But what gives you that confidence to stand in front of people who are very, very senior and ask for every patient and be ready and willing to be ridiculed just so you can get their attention? Who among you would actually do that? So that's the thing that we want to have and really instill that confidence, you know, in people. One of the things I realized was ego was getting in the way. So, you know, as salespeople, there's a lot of ego out there, a lot of talking. Let me tell you, when somebody's doing a lot of talking, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking today, but that's a webinar. So it's generally their ego. And why do we have the ego standing up? Because the ego is in fear and has to prove something. What you want to do is you want to serve. Everybody's serving anyway. You've got nothing to prove. And when you come from a serving rather than a getting mentality, then that's when you have people starting to listen, because you really, really start to identify and work with that person. So what we're talking about here is servant leadership is literally a path to agreement with someone. And that's what we really want to look to. I hope you're enjoying the bit of Christmas music that's going on in the background here. I'm enjoying it very, very well. So listen, I'm going to get into the presentation, and you know, we should be another half an hour at tops. If there's any questions you have, then please feel free to ask them. So as I said before, Think and Grow Rich. So I'd mentioned that, you know, the chapter. So the people that you're looking at here, the first person on the left is Andrew Carnegie. So, you know, the richest man in the world. Napoleon Hill wrote the book, took him 20 years to actually find out about, you know, how the rich actually thought. Earl Nightingale is the next guy, and he took all this information and he brought it out to the public. And Bob Proctor, he passed away in January, was my mentor for the last 4 years. I decided that I had been listening to too many people, because at one point 4 years ago, I lost everything. I had all these qualifications, masters in, I've already mentioned some of them, but I literally didn't have the results. I had all the knowledge, but I didn't have the results. We call that superior knowledge, inferior results. We're so busy trying to get knowledge, and we forget to act application, but it's repetition and application, which is the conscious competence bit. The conscious competence bit is repetition, application, repetition, application. And so that's what Bob Proctor taught me. And over the last 4 years, that's all I've been doing, is information that I realized was even the people in Illuminati were calling the basic information. But they were doing it to keep it and, keep people separate. What I want to do, and what the people that I work with at the Proctor Gallagher Institute, is that we want everybody to know this information. And I know it's this information because I've heard certain keywords that Bob Proctor passed on to us. And I've heard them in these other presentations, and I'm like, wow. I did not know just how strong this information was, but I've proven a point as well. I've absolutely proven a point, because what I've done is that I had to become, so I've been number one in a number one pharmaceutical company in the UK and top 10% globally. I was number one in different firms, no matter, I was just going to test contracts. And then I decided I would be number one with Bob Proctor. Now that's 1,600 people across the world. Do you think this just happens by accident? Or do you think something shifted in Sheena that literally was just like, I'm a winner? And if you can't say that you're a winner, then you're not going to win. Now, a winner doesn't mean that somebody else loses. What a winner does is that it's like whenever, you can remind me, who was it who ran the 4-minute mile? So he ran the 4-minute mile. And, before that, people said, you can't do that. But he did it. And then what happened? Other people did it after him. So you standing and blazing your trail and standing out and shining your light means that other people get the chance to do that as well. So winning is not people losing. Winning is shining brighter and literally showing the way. So it's something to really think about. And we're talking here about the science, the absolute science of results, and really understanding who you are. Bob said that to me. He says, Sheena, it's not that you don't know where you're going, it's you do not know who you are. And so it's like planning a journey and not actually setting the coordinates right, because you think, if I want to go to, New York, but I'm actually standing in Canada, but I plan my journey from the UK, I'm not going to get there. You see, so setting goals is dead easy. Everybody can do that. We can have the vision board and you can set the goals. We're talking here about something different. We're talking here about goal achieving. I love this sentence here. I'll read this out for you if you can't see it. Cram them full of non-combustible data, check them so damn full of facts that they feel stuffed, absolutely brilliant with information. Then they'll feel like they're thinking and they get a sense of motion without moving. This is what we've been happening to us from childhood. We've literally been full of facts, full of facts, full of facts. But actually knowledge is, we want to draw the knowledge from within, not put the knowledge in here. You've got enough now. You've got enough. It's about literally drawing on the knowledge that you already are. The absolute infinite intelligence of life is actually drawing on that. And this is where our life becomes easier. Whenever we are conscious competent, things just happen. But it's what are you unconsciously competent about? You see, this is the wake-up time. Everybody's so full of their own programming from culture, from previous events in their life, etc., etc. And so we keep bringing that into wherever we are. And that's one of the things that we need to just be with the customer in the room without anything else at all, except where we're going, and to lead them in that direction, that path to agreement. It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. I've said that before, but you don't know who you are. Now you may say, well, I'm Paula, I'm a woman, but that's a name that was given to you. And that's the body you landed in. You're not your hands. You're not your feet. You're not your job. Who are you? Without referring to yesterday, without referring to your past, who are you? This is the absolute key. World-class sales results can come just with a decision. I absolutely promise you, all I did was make a decision to be number one. And I became number one. I mean, that's one of the first lessons we learn in my program. It literally is how to make a decision that sticks and that happens. And you've all done it before in your life. I remember when my marriage ended, it was a decision. There was nothing going to change me in the world. I do not know what are the decisions you've made, but I know you've made some decisions. So listen, results always tell the truth. Now, I'm not talking about your company's results. I'm talking about Your results, your company, you may have created great sales for them, like I did. But did I get a 50% pay rise? Did I get a 10% pay rise? No. Guess what? I got made redundant. The drug went off patent. There's a whole other story around that as well. But your results always tell the truth. Your results, not your company's results. How has your life changed? How has your life changed? That's one of the things that we want to look at. I'm just clicking here on the chat. I thought somebody wanted to. Oh, can't see the chat. I'll have a look at it after whenever I get off. So remember, if you do need to get off this, you can book a call with me and let's talk about you. Let's talk about your team. Let's talk about your company. It doesn't really matter. Results always tell the truth. Are your results causing your thinking, or is your thinking causing your results? Now, here's some of the results that we've had from this. You know, somebody went from 220K a year to $1 million a month. There you go. Whoopie-doo. Something exciting going on there. KPIs of 67%, you know, up to 100% consistently from month one. That's okay. I like that. I like it. You see, mindset, people tend to do mindset, but they're not expecting results. They just want people to be happy. Yeah, we want people to be happy. But what are you doing with that happiness? Launch it into something spectacular. Launch it into something different. Here's a guy who went from a 0 pipeline to 5 million in 3 months. I think it's pretty spectacular, some of these results. Would you like your sales team to be able to pull things like that out for you? Or do you want to pull those things out? Now, listen, I've got nothing for sale on this webinar. Absolutely nothing. Just yourself. Being here and listening to this information. I want to get this across. And this isn't about getting, this is about serving your way to these results. It's absolutely not about getting them or working hard in any shape or form. I am not about working hard. If I have to work hard, I know I'm working in the wrong direction. And I constantly ask, how can I make this easier? How can I make this easier? Now, here's a little chart here about engagement from your staff. You know, they show that some people are engaged and they're the ones at their front. And then there's the ones in the middle who are like, well, it depends on what's going on in the day. Their attitude is like, come day, go day, go day. Depends how nice you are to them, whether they'll work or not. But you've got some people who are actively disengaged, but they may look like the person who's engaged. How do you know that? You see, I know that through the strengths, just literally through having a conversation with them. I will know if they're engaged, which category they fall in, and I'll know why. It's not saying that the actively disengaged person is bad or that they're trying to be, you know, to cause trouble. They don't know why either. It's their energy. It's the energy that they're in, that they could just be in the wrong job, or there's some tweak of the job that could be changed. And if you could really understand them, they're not necessarily for firing, but some people are ready to go. And that's just the way it is. They will find a job where they're better suited in their energy, and you will be able to replace that person with somebody who actually gives a damn. So they're the things to really watch out. But this is also you as well. This is you. You have days when you're totally engaged. You have days whenever your attitude sucks, quite frankly. You know, if it's a good day, then I've got a good attitude. And if it's not a good day, then I haven't got a good attitude. And you're balanced like this. And that's what's happening. And then you have days where, quite frankly, it's better to stay home and just go to bed. And sometimes, you know, I get days like that when it's just like, I'm better off not seeing anybody today. And it's okay to have that. But how do we balance all of this out? And that's what we want to look at as well. And this is all to do with your self-image. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing to understand about, you know, how much you earn and how many sales that you actually get. So let's just talk about a thermostat and a cybernetic instrument. So you know this at home. You've got the heating system and it's set to 70 degrees. And then somebody opens the door and there you go, it gets really cold. And so automatically, the boiler turns itself on and there you go, back up to 70, and then it switches off again. It all happens automatically. Let me tell you, that's exactly what's happening around your salary. That's exactly happening around your happiness. It's exactly what's happening around relationships. It's almost, there's like a line that if you go above, you will go lower. And then you will balance up again. And if you go below, you may go higher. Have you ever noticed somebody's sales results do that? Sometimes they're really good, but on average over the last 3 years, you probably noticed they just balance out. That's your cybernetic instrument. That's your self-image. And that is in 98% of your body. So you've got the conscious mind, which is literally just 2% of what's going on. 2%. 98% is in your subconscious. You're completely unaware of it. But what are you working on? You're just working on your conscious mind. And the self-image is in that subconscious. And that is what is driving the results. That is filled with all your past memories, all your past programming, absolutely everything. And you don't know how to get to it. So guess what you do? You go to therapy. Let me tell you about therapy, and I'm not knocking anybody who does it. It is right for some people. But I had a girl two people who've come to me. One girl who'd been on therapy for 20 years, senior level executive, both of them. And another girl was 10 years. And within 2 months of learning what I'm teaching right now, they literally stopped all therapy and have never gone back because they realized that they were fishing on the wrong side of the boat, let's just say. You all know the story in the Bible, fish on the right side of the boat and you will collect the fish on the wrong side of the boat, and you will be fishing all night and get nothing. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to fish on the right side of the boat. And the right side of the boat is with the self-image in the subconscious, where the 98% of your results are actually coming from. Because your conscious mind is putting your subconscious is a vibration in your body. And you could have little stories that are going on in your mind that are literally sending it, oh my goodness, this isn't going to work. This never works. What am I going to do? But the conscious mind go, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But that is what is going to come across to people. Your actions is basically you're receiving from the universe, your actions. But if you've got a vibration of lack, even though you have a conscious mind of positivity, like I had, but I was coming from a vibration of lack. That is what was the results that were coming back to me. I hope you really get to understand this. This is why I'm saying as much as I can in this period, and I will send you the recording of this, and then you can watch this at any other time again to remind yourself of what I'm telling you here, because this bit is so key. See this diagram here? I must have seen this 1,000 times before there was a final click. It was like, this is genius. This is genius, and it's really understanding how this applies in your life. You are absolutely, your spiritual DNA, you are perfect, and everybody that you work with is absolutely perfect. Now, you may have a different story about them, but I have a whole other story about that. Not the time to go into it now, but I want to tell you that you're literally, your DNA is perfection. It is absolute perfection, but it's understanding who you are and allowing people to be who they are. But when we try to do that, because we've got all these paradigms and laws and regulations and KPIs set up that, and you must tick this box, this box, this box. Nobody can be who they are. It's like saying to, let's be creative to a child and then telling them to color between the lines. That's not creativity. That's do what I tell you to do as long as it's within these lines. That isn't helping anybody. That is so uninspiring. It is unbelievable. It's not who you think you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. So paradigms, viruses, doubts, insecurities are all going on in your mind. But what we want to do is to find a way and a path to actually bring clarity to the mind. When we can do that, then we cut the rubbish out. We literally cut all the rubbish out. And so when we do that, then we can start to hear what it is. We are being told that's what intuition is. We are being told we are in our tutor what to do. So my advice to everybody watching this, stop knowing. It is one of the most freeing places to be ever, is to not know and to allow the knowledge you've already got to get here. You don't need any more knowledge, unless, of course, you want to be a brain surgeon. Then I would really like you to, understand that. But for what you're doing, in your current role, start to listen to yourself. But we want to calm down the mind. The mind is literally all over the place. It's like a 2-year-old child's been spoiled. And the thoughts that you're thinking aren't even yours half the time. you're so incredible. It's unbelievable. I haven't even got time to go in here about, I could spend weeks telling you how incredible and why and the science behind it. I'm giving you top level information, and I hope you accept what I'm telling you here. So your self-image is a cybernetic instrument, just like the control of the of your thermostat at home. So there's your self-image in your subconscious, and you take an action and you get results. So say, for example, you think that you're overweight. Everybody's done this, and you want to lose weight. So you make a decision to diet. And so you lose some weight. And then after a while, what happens? The weight comes back on. Why is that? Because you didn't change your self-image. You did everything from the 2%, which meant you had to count all the calories. You had to, make sure you ate healthy food. You denied yourself. Let me tell you, nothing good comes from denial. Absolutely nothing good comes from denial. That's exactly what happened to me. I took myself away to thinking that if I could clear myself of my horses, my kids were old enough, and dogs and friends, and I would work really hard for 6 months, then I would literally be able to turn everything around. And I went in the complete opposite direction. Nothing good comes from denial. And I know how to manage my weight because I'm still the same, wearing the same clothes that I was wearing 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I was wearing the same clothes I wore 20 years before as well. I went on a cruise for my 50th birthday, and it was a whole month, and I didn't put on any weight. I came back and I was still wearing the same clothes. Why? Because I knew how to use my mind to instruct my subconscious. I knew how to do that, and I did it. Just like wanting to be number one, I just made a decision. It has to be done at the level of the self-image. It has to be done at the level of the subconscious, not just the conscious mind. So what are we doing as salespeople? This is the thing. So this is where I really saw it, because I never saw myself as sales, ever. And so are the people that are working with you, do they really like sales? I mean, when somebody tries to sell to you, what do you do? What are your thoughts? Do you go, oh God, here comes another sales message? And thank you for answering mine, by the way. Really appreciate it. But do you see that, like there's a lot of people who will just ignore, oh, another sales message, another sales message. So you're poo-pooing salespeople just like that. And yet you're a salesperson. And let me tell you, everybody's a salesperson. If you're in business, you're a salesperson. If you're in a job, the business has to be selling something. Otherwise, it doesn't continue. And you're always selling yourself as the best girlfriend, the best salesperson, the best friend, the best mother. So you're always selling. But what is your opinion of whenever you're being sold to? That's how you're going to know whether you have the self-image of a salesperson, or do you shrink away from that? It's such an interesting insight. I have a few questions. If you want them, I'll send them to you. In fact, I'll send them to you. Can somebody remind me? Send me a little message after this and just go, Sheena, you said that you would do this. So there's about 4 questions, and it's just to help you see what your self-image, what is inside here that is actually getting in the way of you having really good sales results. No good just coming from your 2%. I know you're great. You're absolutely wonderful, and you're on this call, but it's really understanding what is in your subconscious, and these questions help pull that out. So only you can answer that, and you can answer those questions. It will help you find that. So what is the next thing that we want to look at here? And, so bear in mind that make a call. Let me just, if I can put it in the chat here, I will put how to book a call with me after. I tell you what, I'll either do it here or I will send you an individual message as to how to book a call with me. So there's 3 types of goals that we want to set. Now, the A-type goal is really just what our present results are. And you know what they are? They are smart. They are your smart goals. Let me tell you, they are not inspirational in any shape or form. Measurable and achievable. I'm bored already. I was never, ever into one of those smart goals. I mean, it just did nothing for me. I just went out and did my job. I didn't pay attention to the goal whatsoever. There was no inspiration in a smart goal. And anyway, it's only what we did last year. We 12% last year, or let's have 13 or 14% this year. That's not growth. It's not growth. I wasn't getting it. The company was getting it. So we set, a B-type goal. And this is, well, let's have a stretch target. Let's have stretch goals. Oh my goodness. I mean, my heart just sank with that because I felt like somebody was just going to come along and beat me up with these targets. But they have to be realistic, Sheena. And I go, well, what is realistic? What is realistic? Do you know what's real is something that never changes? And everything's always changing. So why would I base something on realistic? It's yesterday's. Today is yesterday's thoughts. You're on this because of a thought you made yesterday or last week. So why would I want to then base my future based on yesterday? Do you see this veil coming in again? Planning our future because of yesterday? We would never have had a mobile phone. We would never have cars if that's how we were thinking. So why do we continue to think like that and leave it for certain people to become inventors? You are the inventor. You are the creative person. But you've been so focused on the left brain logic and knowledge that we've forgotten our right brain and our creativity. You are creativity itself. You absolutely are. So the C-type goal is the fantasy. Now, do you think that 4 years ago that I could have turned around to you and said that I'm a co-founder and director of a $60 million hotel company? Do you think for 1 minute that I could even have thought of that? All I was considering was just getting to number one. I wasn't even thinking of money. I couldn't believe it whenever, 2 years later, I managed to, what seemed like I manifest, my dream house. I wanted to live in a barn conversion in the middle of a field. And that's what happened. The window was very short. It was a 6-week period. And all of a sudden, one thing. Because when I thought so, I drew this house every single day for 6 months. And then I hadn't seen it. And the next thing, I'm in it. And I realized that my drawing was the house. So amazing. It's another story for another time. So when we can start to really push the boundaries of our company targets, stupid targets, what impact will that have on your sales team or on you? What if you really pushed the boundaries, and doubled what you were wanting to have before, or tripled, or left your work and decided to do your own company? What is possible for you? What do you want? And the only prerequisite to this is literally, what do you want? Without justifications, without excuses, without anything. What do you want? Now imagine if you could link the employees with the company target, with their own goals, their own fantasy. Sure, they may leave, but they weren't going to stay with you anyway if they're going to leave. What if there was some way that you could incentivize them to really grow beyond? What could they have? Why do all the profits have to go back into the company? Yes, I know, to grow the company, but there has to be another way that you can get their engagement with their heart, not with their head, with their heart and with their soul, to be engaged in a company's results. Now, how do you do that? By looking after them, by seeing them, by treating them as individuals, but not just because, they've come in and then you've tried to make them something else, but that you've really, really allowed them to expand. And like I said, strengths was the only way that I can see that anybody could do that. There is no other test that I have seen that can literally find out somebody's uniqueness. I've done thousands of these assessments anyway, and I haven't got anywhere near 33 million for the first top 5, and so every single person is so unique, so brilliant. I can see you straight away. When I had my strengths done, I was working with a corporate, a strategic team. I don't have any strategy skills in my top 5, and I felt really, really low. But then I was told, no, you're this, you're that, you're the other. And then I literally, for the first time at the ripe old age of 45, it was okay to be me. It was okay to be me. I've dealt with top executives who burst into tears on the phone with me, male and female, because nobody has seen them before. They didn't understand themselves. And then when I helped them understand themselves and I saw their greatness, it was like a little light shone. And the managers, whoever it was looking after them, would come back to me afterwards, just go, wow, what have you done? And I went, I shone a light on themselves. And that's what we can do. And that's how we can really, really help our sales team grow. And the most dangerous phrase in the language is, we've always done it this way, isn't it? And I remember somebody saying to me one time, oh, we can't get in to see that customer. You know, I've tried for 6 months. And I'm like, really? How have you done that? Because I've been speaking to them for 6 months. Don't take anybody else's opinion. When your attitude is right, the facts don't count. Let me say that again. When your attitude is right, the facts don't count. Now, what I love about this Grace Hopper is that she's a computer scientist. Well, my degree is computer science. And so I understood how to program computers. I now understand how to program minds. Why? Because I had to do it to myself, first of all. And the discipline of programming your mind is painful, but worth every single penny. Absolutely every single penny. So not long to go now, so bear with me. And remember that, book a call with me at any time. I will send you my link via message, and book a call and let's have a chat about you, your sales team, and what you really want to achieve in 2023. Let's sprint into Christmas. You know, most people turn off before Christmas, but then we start the January and we're like, trying to get going. What we want to do is in December, really set up a goal, really set up something that is so awesome and so different and so illogical that you cannot wait to get started in January, rather than thinking, oh, here we go again, another new year, right? Let's kick ourselves going. No, you're going to be so excited to get back to work in January. So what we're looking at here, this is about goal achieving, not goal setting. So everything is a frequency. You're a frequency, my phone's a frequency, the science behind it. Again, I could do a whole week on the science behind who we are. Just understand that everything has a frequency and your results are on a frequency. Now, our goal, and you like it, I love it that I'm sitting there on top of your goal. Your goal is to work with me. Never know. And so, but your goal is on a frequency. And so what you want to do is you want to tap into that frequency of that goal. Not with your mind. That's easy. That's why people have things on the vision board, but they don't come true. That's easy peasy. Remember, that's only the 2%. First of all, it takes a decision. When the decision is made, it's like a knife. But we sort of make half-assed decisions, don't we? Yeah, and you get your sales team to agree with you about those decisions. And maybe you've been that person going, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get to 110%. We'll do that. But you're not really that committed. So as you go through your day, what do? You end up talking about the problems and how to fix something. So remember, in a personality and learning stage, this would actually be focusing on the conscious incompetence of somebody by focusing on the results. So this is where the results are causing the thinking. Do you understand what I mean here? If we talk about problems, we will always have problems. And what we do is like a Rubik's Cube, and we just mess them around. And sometimes we get all the things to match up. But then somebody comes along and messes it up again. And we wonder why does this still keep happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Well, now you know. You're hoovering without being plugged in. If you're talking about problems and how to fix problems, that's why they keep coming. Now, this is science. Go check out Einstein. It's not my knowledge. I'm just the messenger. Go check him out. You've got to talk about and be in a committed decision to the goal. But that isn't just in your mind. This is to do with your head, heart, gut, a whole body alignment. And how do you do that? Well, that's actually, we use the work of the mind to work into the body, but we need to stop this noise in the mind, first of all, like the noise that you can probably come along here. We just stop all this chatter and be able to completely ignore all that and let that do its thing. You know, like if you were sitting in the middle of a tornado, you know, and it's quiet there and the world is spinning around you and you're like, yeah, you crack on there. I'm here in the center, focused. I know where I'm going. That's what's missing today. Literally, you know, Napoleon Hill wrote another book called Outwitting the Devil, and that's where the other 24,500 people were. So he interviewed 25,000 people apparently, and 500 of them were written about in Think and Grow Rich, and the other 24.5 were written in Outwitting the Devil. And when I first read that, the first thing it says is drifting. Oh, look, here's an email. Oh, look, here's a text message. Oh, what am I having for dinner? When you're trying to do something. Really quite interesting. So why do we need to come from our vision? Well, if I'm standing at the top of the Shard, I hope you all know the Shard, beautiful, beautiful place in London. I used to work there. And if I'm standing up there, I can see everything. If you point to me, Sheena, can you go there? I can more or less guide my way there, and I can hear myself think, and I can get there. I can see where you're going. Oh my goodness, yeah. I can keep that vision whenever I go downstairs, and I can go right. I turn right and left. I can keep that vision in my mind. But if I'm doing everything from the ground level, then all I've got is buildings, everybody as tall as me, everybody talking about the same thing, everybody talking about problems, and I'm completely lost. Do you really get that idea there? About coming from your vision, seeing everything, and not from the ground level, not from the problems. Another key secret that's here. This is all a paradigm shift. That's what's needed, a paradigm shift. And what's a paradigm? It's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. We are literally sleepwalking through the days. People get up and do the same thing. And then you end up leaving work after 40 years. And yeah, we die with nothing. We came with nothing and we die with nothing. We climb ladders for what? For what reason? I can't tell you the visions that I've had about the amount of work that people do for no reason. You don't have to earn your way to heaven. You don't have to earn your way anywhere. And most of our behavior is driven by fear. Because if I say to people, will you, do you like your job? Yes, I love it. Okay, if you won the lottery, would you leave it? Yes, of course. There's no way I'm staying there. Well, then you do not love your job. And therefore, you're going to your job in lack. So why are you doing your job? Well, I need to pay the bills, Sheena. Got to be realistic. So what you're telling me is you're going to work out of fear. Well, I've got to feel safe and secure. Well, do you feel safe and secure? No, because you've got to pay for the car. You've got to pay for the house. You've got to pay for your holidays. You've got to pay for school fees, etc., etc., etc. And the biggest shock to me that came was whenever I started to interview a lot of people on LinkedIn, and amazing profiles. And I can spot energy levels straight off. I'm a trained Reiki master as well. And I could literally spot the energy levels straight away. And most people are lying their way through their business. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anybody. I want people to come from their heart and soul and enjoy your job. You can be in a job and enjoy it. But if it's fear and lack that is driving you, then they're the results. You're going to work very hard. People get ill because of this. That's why we start to eat ourselves up from the inside. That's what I want to help shift. You see, our paradigms, we got them as children, like, to show me the child give me the child till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. Be careful how you talk around children. They're picking up everything, not just your words. They're picking up the vibration of how you say things. They're picking up on your fear. You've also got, as we're listening to stuff today, and we don't even have to hear it. It's in the ether, and we're picking up on it, and we're taking it as ours, and we're thinking it's our thought when it's just thoughts that are in the ether. Your brain is a sending, receiving device. Your body is like a mobile phone, but you've got too much attachment to it. And you think these thoughts are yours. If we can really help people see who they are, we can cut through a load of rubbish, and you can make decisions to be world-class sales. You can make that decision yourself. And so what you can see what happened in school is that, we were given all the knowledge in the 2%, rather than really trying to understand. Instead of teaching people what to think, I want people to understand, number one, how they're thinking, and then I want to teach them how to think. A whole different ballgame, And this isn't something you just study once. It is something that you study for the rest of your life, because as soon as you think you know, and believe me, I'm one of those people who always quick to pick up on details. At the age of 19, I did an IQ test and it was 160. And I was so embarrassed because I didn't understand what it meant. And they wanted to send me for officer training. And I just literally, oh, no, I'm a secretary. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's the sort of thing is that, we really want to teach people who they are. You are amazing. We can cut the rubbish through you. Superior knowledge, inferior results. Stop giving them more knowledge, and let's really understand what is in them that wants to be drawn out of this. What is it? Why did they apply for that job? Why are they working with you? So remember, it takes a committed decision to stay on the frequency of your goal, to come from the goal already achieved. So for so long now, myself and my partner, we were the directors of this hotel company. We lived it and we breathed it and we spoke it and we talked it, and we would never talk about anything else. Everything we spoke about was, what do you want or what do you love? There is no other conversation to have. It is about, what are we going to do next? You know, is talking about yesterday going to help us? No. What are we going to do different tomorrow? What is going to feel better tomorrow? What are you looking forward to tomorrow? That's what we want to be getting ourselves into. So your paradigm is literally affecting your perception. It's affecting your use of time. It's affecting your creativity. It's affecting your effectiveness, your productivity. And logic is literally the past. If you want change and you want something different, you've got to be illogical. And I spoke to my partner this morning because there's so many different things going on. And I really, really understand that if you want things that other people don't have, you've got to be prepared to do other things that people are not going to do. And I understand what that is on an energetic level, not just a conscious level, but on an energetic level. It's two ways to change a paradigm. You could have an emotional impact, which is how it tends to be negative paradigm switches. So you've all had those experiences in life where that's it. You know, mine was 20, there was loads before that, but at 21, you know, married and divorced within 3 years. Wow, that was great. You know, brought up a Catholic. So that was a paradigm shift. And that affected me. And I knew what drove me to go into education and to learn and to get a degree in computer science and to get a master's and everything else. I understood there was fear driving all of that, and to prove myself. The other way is constant spaced repetition. So, but what are you constantly repeating to yourself? You know, what is the right information? Who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? You can listen to all these other books where people claim to have success. Now, there's 25,000 people on LinkedIn, and I've been through most of them over the last 6 years. And there's very few that are real. So who are you listening to? Where is the information coming from? Where is it coming from? I decided to go to Bob Proctor. I decided to pay top whack when I was 70K in debt, and it was 30,000 to go and work with him 4 years ago. And I decided I'm doing this because I want to know right from the top. I want to go to the best. One of my strengths is maximizer. I hadn't quite realized that I always work with the best, and I need to go to the best because I want the top level information. And then I need to go and prove it myself. And that's exactly what I've done. And then obviously I show other people how to do that as well. So remember, a committed decision. What do you want? I mean, really want in your life? Really want in your life? What do you want for your team? What will, you know, but it's got to be a committed decision, because otherwise it's not going to work. The only way you get a committed decision is when you involve the heart. Remember what I said at the beginning, 5,000 times more magnetic. This is where we have effortless results. Effortless results. Not working hard so that when you get to 65, poof, that's it. I'm exhausted. I don't want to work anymore. I never want to stop. I'm so excited about my life. You know, we're going to take this company to $1 billion. That's our next self-image, you know, thing. And it's not because of getting, it's because of the sheer joy and the sheer fun that we're having while we're doing it. I also decided I wanted to be a professional polo player. And so I've got my sponsorship for next year to start in April. And I'm going to just have so much fun with that as well. This is for fun. So then when I do for fun, what do I think I want to do? I want to give, I want to share. I want other people to have what I have. I want to help other people grow their businesses. I want to help other people grow their mindsets. But here's the thing, is that when people are not committed, they don't do anything. And I cannot work with people who are not committed. What does commitment take? Time and money. Absolutely. You put your neck on the line and you do something. I did that. Absolutely did that. And how can you help your sales team do that as well? How can you help yourself do that? Put yourself on the line if you want to really change things up. If you want to become world class, you need to become. If you want world class sales results, you need to be world class. It cannot happen any other way. Stop thinking from here. Stop thinking from your results and think from your goal. And, you know, so many people go, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it when, I'll do it soon. I'll do it after. That's all procrastination. Procrastination is fear. Let me tell you, make excuses or make money. Make excuses or get results. There is no other way. You know, one of my strengths is disruptor, and I'm very good at spotting an excuse. Why? Because I made them all myself. I made everything, any excuse. If I can say I will do it and then add something after that, like that delays it, it's an excuse. I'd rather you just said yes or no. That's it. It's no big deal. But we all feel like we have to make excuses. And I know you want to do this. I know you do. I know you want this thinking, because it will, oh my goodness, it brings complete freedom to your life. The discipline of your mind brings you freedom. And isn't that what everybody wants? Freedom, mostly freedom from their thoughts, freedom from their fears, freedom from their doubts, freedom from their worries, to feel safe and secure, like apparently people do in their job, and yet nobody feels safe and secure in their job. And then we get relationships so we can feel safe and secure, and then nobody feels safe and secure in their relationships. It doesn't have to be that way, but we haven't been taught how to think. And that's what I do. And it's a decision that you make for you, 100% you. So I'm also going to send you some questions as well that you can take a look at. And, you know, that will help you sort of get out of this loop. Present results cause thoughts, cause feelings, cause actions. So you look at your present results again, and we go round and round and round in circles. And so, yeah, I'm going to end it there. Actually, I've just noticed the time. It's 3:10. I'm going to just scoot through a couple of slides here. Oops, daisy. And that's what I'm going to offer you, a 30-minute clarity call with me. I'm going to put the link in the chat here now so that you can see it. And if I could get to the chat, that would be very, very good. So there we go. If I can just put the link here. So everybody's got that link. So thank you so much for being here. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you, and I will see you again. Goodbye now.